Hi guys, today I wanted to share my top books that I want to read in 2020. Now, I made a list for 2019. It was probably about 30 books long of books that I wanted to read last year, and I completely and utterly failed. I made a blog post and I shared all the books, and when I went through at the end of the year, I maybe read 5 of them. So I have cut down my list this year. I think there's 12 books on the list, and they're ones that I'm really excited about. Plus, because this year I'm making a focus to read books that I actually own, I have most of these books in my possession. I think 3 of them I don't own the hard copies yet, but I would like to. Hopefully I can find them in the next few months. And yeah, so I have a stack of books here, and they're in no particular order. They're not separated by genre or anything, so it'll just be a little bit all over the place, but let's kind of get into it. So my first book is Eragon, and I actually want to read the entire series this year. Now, this is kind of going to be a boring video because I like to go into books not knowing a whole lot about them. According to my husband, this is about a dragon, as you can kind of tell, and last night I told him all I knew is that it's about a dragon, and he said, it's not just about a dragon, it's also about a boy. So that's what I know about this book. I'm assuming it's a good series. He kind of has breezed through it in the last few months, so I'm curious about it. I'm curious to see what there is to it other than just a dragon and a boy. The next one on my list is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Now, this one I have been wanting to find in thrift stores for a long time, and I just never could. So my mom bought me this beautiful one for Christmas. Well, I mean, my dad too, but he probably had no idea that she was even buying it. It's from both my parents. Yeah, so I showed this in my December haul, and it's kind of like another one of those that I don't really know a whole lot about. I know it's kind of creepy. I have no idea. It's a classic, so I feel like maybe people have kind of heard things about it before. And I know originally when I had heard things, it sounded interesting to me, so it's on my list. The next one is a middle grade book, or it's actually a series, but I want to read at least one of the books in the series this year, and it's Keeper of the Lost Cities. Now, this is another one that I know nothing about, but it's about a 12-year-old. It says 12-year-old Sophie Foster has a secret. She's a telepath. Sounds interesting. This is one of the books that is I haven't heard anything bad about. People really love it. I have the first couple books in the series, so if I enjoy the first one, I plan on to keep reading them. I think my daughter would really like it, so I kind of want to read the first one first and then let her dive into them. The next book I have is Romanov. This one is by Nadine Brandes. I read her Fox earlier in 2019 and really enjoyed it. It was a historical fiction fantasy, and I'm assuming this one is kind of the same idea. I know nothing about it. It says, the history books say I died. They don't know the half of it. Here, I'll keep reading. Anastasia Romanov was given a single mission to smuggle an ancient spell into her suitcase on her way to exile in Siberia. It might be her family's only salvation, but the leader of the Bolshevik army is after them, and he's hunted Romanov before. I don't know. Sounds interesting. I really enjoyed Fox. It was one of my top books of 2019, so I just knew I wanted to give this book a try, and I also just really love the cover of this one. This is another book that I haven't heard anything bad about, and that's Scythe. I do want to read probably all the books in the series, but currently I only own the first book. It is, I think, like a dystopian, utopian world where people can no longer die. They've figured out how to, I don't know, defeat death, I guess. And so I think in order to keep the numbers down, they have people named Scythes who go and kill off the population. I don't know. It sounds interesting to me because I love dystopian novels because they seem so close to how society can actually be if it just, in a few more years or a little down the road. So I'm curious about this one. One that was on my list from last year that I didn't get to is Emily of New Moon. This is another L.M. Montgomery book. I've been kind of reading through her books over the years, and I think this is kind of like her Anne series, except kind of with a darker twist. I think Emily isn't quite as bright and bubbly and positive as Anne is. and I think I'm going to be reading this in a couple months for my reading challenge. I have a prompt that is read something with a nature word in the title, so I'm gonna probably read this for moon being the nature word, so I should get to this one in a few months. Another one that was on my list from last year is Born a Crime. This one is a non-fiction about a guy who had a black mother and a white father, or the other way around, and he grew up in South Africa where that is not an okay thing. And I'm extremely interested in this book because my son is adopted from South Africa, and yeah, so I've heard really good things about this one. The next book slash series is Harry Potter. I'm currently kind of like halfway through the series right now, so by the end of the year I want to be able to get to number 7 and have completed the series. I know I'm kind of like one of the last people on earth that hasn't read this series, but I'm getting to it. Now the last 3 are ones that I don't own hard copies for. One of them is Nevermore, which is a middle grade, I believe, fantasy book. That is one that I've like never heard anything bad about. It's about a girl named Morgan Crow who I think was born on the unluckiest day of the year and is blamed for everything that goes on around her. I actually just started the audiobook, and right in like the first chapter she's writing letters, apology letters to people because this old lady fell and broke her hip while she was ice skating, and Morgan's been blamed for that, so she has to apologize. And I think something happens, she disappears or is taken somewhere, and so I'm curious to see how that one goes. And then the next 2 are actually kind of like authors. I want to read a Brandon Sanderson book and a Robin Hobb book this year. I don't really know where to start with either of them, so if you have a suggestion on where I should start, please leave me a comment. I am really curious about them. They both write fantasy books that I've heard good things about, but they also both have a lot of books out and a number of different series, and I don't really know where to start. So some input on that would be excellent. And yeah, so let's see if I can do this here. I'm just realizing there's a lot of thick books on the stack. I don't know what I was thinking. So these are the 12, well, how many books do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are 8 of the books that I want to read this year slash series. And yeah, I think it should be a good reading year. I'm really excited about it. I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know one of the books that you want to read this year.